Melody sat on the branch of a tree eating an apple she took from there. She watched her grandmother taking a whole round of her home and the fields looking for her. Melody's eyes unfocused as she enjoyed her fruit instead of putting her granny out of her misery. Melody was a 10-year-old. She grew up in the countryside with her grandmother, an extraordinary child who had to take visits to the doctor once every month because her growth and the way her brain worked so well was not normal at her age. She hated how she couldn't be in a city where her parents were. She hated how she couldn't be treated like a normal child. She was gifted with a strong body. She could easily climb trees and jump down floors without breaking bones. Sometimes she wondered if her mother swallowed cement when she was in her belly. When her granny got tired, Melody slipped down the branch, holding it with her hand as she hung from it before letting it go. Since breaking bones was not an easy task for her, she would experiment a lot, adding more and more height to the places from where she would jump. The tree was tall itself. As she let go and landed on the ground, it was the first time she felt a little pain in her knee at the jump. Maybe the height was finally telling her that she reached her limits. Granny, you were there? Melody, please stop. You scare me. You'll hurt yourself one day. She would stay worried most of the time due to Melody and her deadly adventures of experimenting her own strength. Melody, relax. I'm fine. Come, don't tire yourself. Making her granny sit, she handed her a glass of water. Melody might be a 10-year-old, but her maturity level might cross mid 20s easily. That was one of the reasons she couldn't stay in the city. She grew up hating crime, and her parents couldn't let her find out their identity. Granny, your parents are coming to visit. Melody, they're here all the time, 4 times a week almost. It's not a visit anymore, they practically live here at this point. Granny, they miss you. They want to watch you grow. Melody, then why don't they take me with them? Granny, they will. When you grow up a little more? Melody sighed, useless as always. She left to her room and read her book after a shower. Her parents arrived in the meantime. Wine hugged her so tightly, not ready to let go, even if it was hardly a day she last saw her. Jungkook had kissed her head and gave her a gift. Her room was filled with the amount of gifts she received. She hardly had any space to keep them anymore. Melody, my birthday is coming. Can't you take me to the city to celebrate? She looked up at her dad, who stayed quiet. While she laid there with her head in her mother's lap, she knew they loved her so much. Vian, we'll plan something, alright? Don't worry, I'll make it best for you. Melody didn't say anything anymore, and Wine's heart broke. Melody was not a child. She knew it was an excuse, a rejection, in other words. Melody, I made dessert for you. I'll bring it. She left to the kitchen, and Wine looked at Jungkook with a broken heart. It was always like this. Jungkook took a seat beside her and took her in his embrace. Wine, is there really no other way? I want to keep my child with me, Jungkook. I can't do this anymore. Jungkook, let her grow a little bit more. If we bring her back to the city now, she'll find out what her father does, and she won't like it. Maybe after she grow up a little, she'll understand a little. Wine, we are lying to her. This is not right. Jungkook, we never lied to her. We just never told her the truth. One couldn't ask him to leave the mafia knowing the amount of enemies he had made. They would come for revenge as soon as he steps out. Fine, let's try talking to her. Maybe she'll understand. She's not a child. Her growth is extraordinary. We can't treat her like a 10-year-old. Right. She was not stupid. Melody heard everything, and the first thing she did was searching online for who her father was. It surprised her how she was never interested in what business her father owned. Maybe because she was too upset about being left here. She didn't want to find out. It was their doom as soon as the search results came out. Jungkook kept Wine in his arms. They had a discussion and reached a conclusion. Jungkook's mother agreed to it. Wine seemed much better and relaxed, already looking at her phone, looking for ideas for Melody. Jungkook, I'm sorry. I always kept you away from your child. Wine, I know it's not easy for you either. You don't have to hide it from me. His hands were bound. If Melody didn't grow up to hate crime, none of this would be necessary. After some time passed, they noticed Melody hadn't returned from some time now. One went to kitchen to find out. She was able to convince Jungkook to take Melody and tell her the truth. And if she still wanted to come to city with them, they were going to welcome her nicely. Why? I can't find Melody. She came rushing in the lounge where everyone was. Granny stood and told them she must have escaped the fields again. Jungkook searched everywhere, but they couldn't find her. Jungkook called his men from the city immediately, issuing an urgent search. It was unlikely to think Melody ran away, but Jungkook couldn't believe someone would kidnap her right under his nose. Melody was strong. She wouldn't go down without a fight. Fine. I'm so scared, Jungkook. Please find her. Jungkook. Mom, Please look after Wine. I'll find her and bring her back safely. That's my promise to you. He kissed Wine's head and stepped out of the home. In the darkness of the night, their home was surrounded by a hell lot of expensive cars and men. The people living in those areas had never seen something like this before. The men got in the cars and left along with Jungkook, while a few left behind to look after the home. Granny, he'll bring her back. You know him, right? What they didn't know was Melody ran away on her own. And when she decided to do something with her ability, nothing could beat her to it. No matter how powerful her father was, no matter what his reach was, no one could beat Melody. To be continued.